Okay, we are ready to go live. It's Jen Healy here with the AYRx Yoga Swings, and I'm really happy to share this virtual training with you. Today is going to be a bonus day where we go over the basics and we get comfortable and familiar with learning about this practice from a new perspective. I've been doing this for quite a while, so I have several layers and levels to my program, and I wanted to do like an all-in-one encompassing for everybody practice. And so today is the first day of that. We're going to go over the aerial yoga play basics, learning the poses and how to utilize the swing. And then I wanted to weave in some of my other teachings that are regenerative therapeutics, the learning how to use the swing more for injury, for different ailments, for different needs, and it's very supportive. If you don't know about the swing yet, it's a cotton lycra blend, super stretchy with leg loops and handholds. So we're going to go over how to use all the pieces of the equipment today. So I'm just going to get in the swing and have a conversation with you as we get started. And I use these beautiful round mats to define the space, so we're working more in multi-dimensional space. And then I'll chat with you while we're sitting in a sumo squat and tell you a little bit more about the swing, why I created it, what I use it for, and how you can incorporate it into your day-to-day life. So obviously I have this hanging at home. You can hang them anywhere. It's a 2-point system and it's really easy to hang. If you ever need help with that, I have more instructions on my website. You can go to jenhealy.org to find out about how to get a swing and how to hang it. But having a home practice is so sweet. I love teaching in studios. I do lots of workshops and trainings all around the United States, but also internationally. And I also do retreats and trainings in Maui. So right now I'm in the Bay Area and I have a whole group of folks joining me from Eugene, Oregon, and happy to have those folks on board. So thank you for joining me. So we can actually do the virtual training from anywhere, and you can do this at your own pace in your own time. So we're just going to get started. I'm going to talk to you a little bit about the swings, what I do with them, how we can have a beautiful, it's going to be a 5-day journey. You can pop in and out at any time. What's so great about it being recorded is you can do this at your own pace and your own rate. And I really encourage you to watch these again and again to get familiar with the swings and to get really good at utilizing the swings for your own particular needs. So the first and most important pose that we can get into is just a tractioning of the spine and learning about spinal decompression and the importance of that. So let's just all land, if you're practicing with me, with your own swing. You can use any equipment, but honestly, it's really, this practice is built for the AYRx yoga swings. They're aerial yoga RX, AYRx yoga swings, because they are so sweet and delicious on the body. It's soft and it's stretchy, and it interfaces with your skin and your fascia in a really unique and special way. So let's just all ground and show up, whatever it took you to get here. I really appreciate you joining us, so let's all just find our feet. So even though we're going to be in the air, we work a lot with the alignment principles, and today we're going to focus on our pillar, which is the central pathway and the column along the spine. And we want to be able to ground down and root down, as well as lift up and find the crown of the head and work with this superhighway that connects to everything, our entire nervous system, everything that connects to the glands and the muscles and the bones, but also to the endocrine system and the hormone regulation. We're going to get into how to use the swing for bioenergetics and to work with the energy body. And we're going to work with the pillar and the body of light around us. So I like to work in multidimensional space. So just imagine you all surrounded in your own bubble, so that we can bring our energy to present moment and start to breathe into the body. I do like to use the swing for yoga translations, and so we're going to stay connected to our breath. We're going to use these different poses to inspire the movement, but they're really their own thing once they're translated into the air. So we're going to take a big inhale together, rise, Bring your arms towards the sky and then just bring them behind you, hugging the swing. At first the swing's gonna feel like it's a little too high and we can push it down. We use our forearms to push it down and get it nice and low to the lower ribs. And then we're all just gonna lean back for a second and test out the stretchiness, especially if you're new to the practice. This can be a little different than what we're used to. We are building trust and a new relationship with this equipment. And we're going to be going today for several hours, but we'll have breaks, we'll have discussion. There's an opportunity for questions and interactions, and then I'll also answer for you all of those basic and common questions that people ask about what you can use the swing for, how to use it, that kind of thing. I'm just going to stay holding on and just give it a little bounce a few times, lean back, my feet are in the center of the mat. Do the modifications you need for the ground and the mat that you're using, but just gently rock the body. Let's just start out nice and slow and get right into it. So we're going over the basic training today, and everybody can do the basics. The basics are designed for everyone, all levels, all ages, and it's pretty amazing that someone who is 5 years old can enjoy the swing, the kids love it, and someone who's 80 years old can use the swing and work with it in such a way to help strengthen as well as stretch the body. Then we're going to bring our arms wide and just take a moment to shake it out. Shake out all the tension or distractions or whatever it took to get you here. And then we're going to use our fingers interlaced behind the back of the head and gently walk our feet to the front of the mat so we're in a chair position. And just stretch your chest towards the sky and lean back for a second. So our knees are going to stay bent. We're going to do a lot of rocking, and I'll explain the importance of that and have a deeper understanding of what we're doing in the swing. But this gentle rocking on the body starts to lubricate the connective tissue and soften those tight and sticky places. Like from sitting, we do a lot of sitting in our society, and because of that, we can often have a lot of tension in our lower back. So the swing is going to help us with both our lower back and our hips, as well as opening up our chest and our shoulders and our neck. So from here, you can stay in your chillaxin arms, I call it, stay with the head supported, or you can go ahead and push your forearms into the swing. And this is my first position called sumo. From a chair, I'm just going to heel toe wide to 10 and 2 on the mat, and I'm going to let myself just gently rock from side to side. And as I rock from side to side, my knees are staying wide, tracking over my toes. And then from there, I'm going to let my hips wiggle. We're just going to do a lot of wiggling in the swing today. So you can stay here while I'm having a chat with you and just play. The most important part about this practice is the play. That's why I call it aerial yoga play. You can play with dropping one knee, opening the knee, twisting a little from side to side. And just take it easy. We're going to warm up nice and slow and then build on the practice. And whenever you need a break, you can stay here in sumo. If the swing rides up, you can lean back, let it slide back down to the lower ribs and come back in. Because gravity is doing such a good job, we're always going to have the swing ride up and our hips dropping down. And if that happens, you can always come back out, push it down, and start over again as many times as you need to get comfortable with the fabric. It takes a little bit of getting used to, and then once you practice in the swing regularly, it actually feels really, really good. And we're going to change up the position so we're not hanging by our underarms this entire time, but at least give it a moment to drop in. And now that you're here, get comfy, and let me tell you a little bit about the swings. I started doing work on myself to heal my lower back in like 2005, and I was hanging upside down, tractioning the spine, and found tremendous relief. And so I was going to different playgrounds and hanging upside down on the monkey bars and the different equipment just to get that release of the compression. And there are inversion tables that have been around for decades where you hang by your ankles, but really that's not the biggest joint or the most comfortable joint in the body to hang from. We want to hang by our hips. So It really helped to hang by the back of my knees on monkey bars, but I've had knee surgeries on both knees and ACL reconstruction, so it was very tender on my knees. And so I tried out a bunch of different equipment, and even though it definitely helped, it still wasn't comfortable. And so I wanted to make something that was super soft and stretchy like a sweatshirt. And so I went through many iterations to come up with this combination of cotton lycra, so it's soft and strong at the same time and can work and interface with the skin and the fascia in a way to create tremendous relief. So even here, my spine is pulling up. The upper thoracic spine is moving up, and then I'm actually dropping my hips as much as possible, relaxing the pelvis, and then I'm creating space in between the vertebrae. I'm tractioning the spine out of the pelvis and creating space by the swing lifting up while gravity pulls me down. So we're going to use gravity as our best friend and work with gravity this entire time to really get as much space in the body as well as strengthen. So I want to go over the different systems of the body with you throughout this weekend. We're going to learn about the lymph, the nervous system, the soft tissue interface with the joints, and how we can work with injuries and joints. Myself included, everyone I know has either had an injury that they're recovering from or are currently dealing with some sort of illness or injury. And so we want to have a daily practice that we can do to help us with that. And just even sitting here for a few minutes, I feel so much better. I feel so much relief coming to my lower back and space in between the spine and vertebrae. And whenever the upper back feels like it needs a break, we're just going to push back. Support your head with your hands, and then just gently rock from side to side. Take your time to connect to your breath and connect to the fabric and really have a new relationship to it. This should feel really good. If you need to make any adjustments, find what I call the sweet spot. There is a sweet spot, a place where it feels a little bit better than another position. We want to keep a space between our underarms and the swing, so we have different holds and handles and locks that we do. And when we find the right hold, then it feels much better. So let's just take our time, get to know the swing, sway it out, loosen up the hips. Just this gentle movement I call swagger from side to side loosens everything up. We're warming up the body. We're creating space, and then we're also finding more hydration into not only the discs, but the soft tissue and the connective tissue that I call the living library. You know, it's a living matrix that holds all of our memories, all of our experiences, and we're going to get into how to release the buildup of charge that happens in the body from all of life. You know, everything is held in our tissues, and so a lot of people experiencing tightness and pain. It's not necessarily the muscle, it could be the structure, it could be the alignment, so we're going to work a lot with alignment, but most likely it's the connective tissue, and it's the sheath over the body that's holding the memory. So I know from working with clients, I've been doing this kind of work for 30 years, and after working with 20,000 clients, thousands upon thousands of clients, I've noticed certain patterns in the body, and these patterns get reinforced with age. And so as we age, we want to age gracefully and optimally. We want to continue to shed and release and regularly cleanse the energetic body from the buildup of charge that just happens. It happens from living, it happens from life. It's just a part of life. So we can do that with certain movements and certain exercises. And we're going to come up to stand now and give the upper back a little break. And just after 5 minutes, I want you to come out of the swing and just notice. And notice what's happening, particularly here where the swing was hitting, but also feel the difference. You can also feel grounded even more after being in the swing, which is really amazing. People are always amazed by how grounded they feel when they come up. So that's part one of what we do, is we use the swing around the upper back in order to create relief and space in the swing, in the spine. And then we can also use these handholds, and the handholds are really wide. And the reason why they're so long is because I like to hang by my wrists and do a wrist wrap. So that way my fingers don't get as tired. The hands will get sore and let you know when they need a break, especially from reaching up for so long. But we're going to come into the same position and grab strongly, so it's strongly and firmly wrapped around the wrist. Make sure it's tight, and then walk your feet out to 10 and 2 on the mat again and do the same movement. So when we're here, now we're stretching the shoulders in a different way, but we're still getting that amazing length in the spine. And most of today I'll show you the upright positions. We are going to go upside down, and we're going to have some fun playing upside down too, which is my favorite. But what I do is teach people how to use the swing multiple times a day, which I call just 5 minutes. It's all part of my empowerment coaching practice and understanding the quantum energetics of the body. We want to take frequent breaks, because if we're sitting all day long or working on a computer or even driving a lot, the body can get incredibly stiff and compressed. So frequent breaks make all the difference in the world. The more that we pause and get back into our bodies and have a reset, especially with the length of the spine and that pillar, then the more energy can flow. So we have all the energy we need. It's just usually getting pinched off, or it's getting stagnant. And so we want to learn how to use the breath, learn how to move the body in really simple and gentle ways, and then also boost the field and boost the energy so that we can calm the body down when we need more calm, and we can also get more energized and more revitalized just by recharging often. So I have these 5-minute practices that I do in the swing every hour that I can. Every hour that I'm around the swing, I get in and I'm doing just what I'm sharing with you now. These are my just 5-minute practices, and I make them super simple. Even if you're an advanced student, you can really get a lot out of just coming back to the basics and mastering the basics. And you can tell after just a few minutes of rocking, half of my weight is in my legs and half of it is in my arms. If you happen to have a shoulder injury, you can come all the way up and let your arms be a little bit more relaxed, but still have a little bit of traction going on. And then just whenever your body cues you, shake it out, give the hands a break, and then we'll come back in. So that's a nice way to stretch the entire length of the spine. And we're going to go into some core activations to begin, just to warm up the body and build some heat. So the same idea that we want to create the strength of like a scaffolding around the spine, and those little intrinsic muscles are going to get stronger as we do this. And as they do, they're going to hold the space for us when we come out of the swing. So we're going to traction the spine out of the pelvis to create space for the vertebrae. So now that our hands had a little bit of a break, come out anytime. There's variations of difficulty that you can do, more advanced where you can lift both legs, and then more beginner where you're just marching in place like you're sitting in a chair. So let's go over that and warm up the spine, and then we'll go back into learning all of the basics and how to, if you're doing this as a teacher training, how to share it with others. If you're doing this for your own personal practice, just what you can do every single day to help your body feel its best. I'm a really big fan and passionate about regenerative therapeutics and optimized health and aging. So you can stay here like you're sitting in a chair and just start marching in place. We're going to inhale and lengthen. Exhale, squeeze the knee up. Inhale and exhale. Inhale, lengthen. Exhale, squeeze. At your own pace and your own time, make it really easy if you need to. And then if you want to make it a little bit bigger, you can inhale, swing the leg back, and then bring it up. Inhale back, bring the knee up, and then make it a little bit bigger as you're feeling stronger too. I like to do 10 of each of these. Inhaling, stretch it back. And of course, if you're not talking at the same time, you can really give your breath more emphasis and more focus. Just want to show you what it looks like. Practice with you together, be in the field together, motivate each other, inspire each other. And then what we're gonna do is come back up and take a little break. If you were testing those out, those are two different versions you can do. Stay there in either the gentle marching movement or the swinging of the leg back and then getting a bigger lift to activate our core and also the psoas muscle. And now let's come back in and do the full body hang. So wrist wrap, sitting in a chair, feet forward so your tailbone is right at the center of the mat, right underneath the crown of the head, and then we're going to lift both knees. Inhale here, exhale, squeeze. Inhale, lengthen. Get all that space in there, and then exhale, squeeze, strengthen around the length. Strengthen around the space that's being created. Inhaling and exhaling at your own pace. See if you can do 5 more. Really squeeze. Inhale, lengthen, exhale, squeeze and strengthen around that space. Inhaling. Exhale with a strong breath. So already there, we're building the fire back in the body. We're really pumping the energy. Good. Into the different organs and glands. The belly is the vital energy source where we're not only digesting, but we're converting that food into energy. So one level of bioenergetics is understanding how to convert our digestive powers into energetic fuel for the body. But then there's a whole nother level of advanced bioenergetics that I like to get into, which is understanding the energy of the body that doesn't have anything to do with food. It basically has to do with the vital life force that is given to you. It's free energy. It's what pumps your heart. It's what moves the blood. It's what breathes you. So we're going to tap more into the bioenergetics so we know how to send energy to the different parts of the body that are needing more health and more healing, more vitality. Okay, great. Let's come back in and do that one more time, and then we're going to give the hands a break. I know they can get like a little tired or a little sore from doing that, but let's come in and just play. So now we're going to come back into our full body hang with the wrist wrap, into our sumo squat, and then if it feels good to you, keep your feet on the ground and press into your heels and your toes as you rock back and forth. You can keep 50-50 in your hands and in your legs, and then if it feels good to you, you can start to play with picking up the legs, picking up the knees, coming into a twist, and getting more into the side body, and as well as twisting and opening up the spine. I love working with the spiral energetics. The spiraling and the spinning and the twisting is so good on the body. It really does wring out the spine. So let's come into some helicopter spins, I call it, where we're stepping and coming into a side lunge. Let the spine hang, let your arms be engaged, and just feel what's happening. I'm already getting a few adjustments, a few movements in the vertebrae, like I'm a free chiropractic adjustment. And we're gonna stretch the body evenly. Come on up when you're ready. So what's beautiful about the swing is it's going to create symmetry and balance between the left and right sides. So a lot of the pain or injury people experience is because the body is uneven. We're all most of us are either left dominant or right dominant, and that will really affect the way we're using the body and the habitual movements that we do, the repetitive movements that will create an imbalance or a torque in the torso. So especially if you play any sports that are one-sided, tennis, baseball, all of that, then you're probably more developed on one side than the other. So we're going to start to strengthen the upper body and the lower body evenly and give a chance for the energy to flow down the right and down the left with the same amount of fuel, the same amount of power. So we're going to go ahead and just work with the leg loops now so we can get a sense of all the different pieces of equipment. And we're going to stay standing, and we're just going to practice finding balance with the leg loops in our hands. Okay, so one side, like I said, is usually more dominant, so we want to find that place where we can press evenly, pressing down with our left and right. If it feels better, you can come out and stand hip distance so you can get a little bit more of a spin and a stretch from side to side. So I'm going to blend some of the poses with the aerial yoga play directly into the AYRx, the Regenerative Therapeutix, the aerial yoga RX. So let's go ahead and just start with some more strengthening and come right into our push-up position. So a lot of times when we're doing push-ups, this is when we get to really experience the body and see, is one side stronger than the other? Are they even? How's it going? So if this is too much for you to do push-ups, you can also step forward. We can step forward with our left foot. I'm going to teach backwards as much as possible, and just let the weight be supported by a bent knee so that you can keep the ergonomics, you can keep the alignment, and make sure that you're using the left and right evenly. So there's a lot of variations we can do. Let's step forward with the right foot now and try that. See if we can come into some gentle push-ups. So we want to stretch and strengthen simultaneously. So I'm really leaning into it and getting a big stretch through the chest, making sure that my gaze is up, that my crown is communicating with my tailbone, and I'm working evenly the right and left sides of the body. Okay, so this is going to come in handy when we do some other more dynamic poses and coming into some flying poses when we do the advanced acrobatics, that we want to make sure that we can lift our body weight and come into a symmetry with the left and right sides. So that's how I use the leg loops in my hands to do some stretch and strength with the swing. So we're going to use those again, but we're going to come in and come back into our sumo squat. Inhale, lift, and exhale, hug the swing. We always want to have the swing underneath our arms when we're sitting so it can support our weight. Press it down, lean back, come on into our sumo squat, walking forward, 10 and 2, heel toe wide, and then right into my forearm press. This is what's going to help me lift my chest. So when I drop my hips, my head can stay in line with my body. If my hips are pushing up, then my head comes back. And we're going to start to learn this weekend the pivot points and how to leverage our power and how to use the swing to create this alignment where our pillar, our entire length of the spine, is open and flowing. So one of the things that I've noticed is that lifting the chest is challenging for people when their head is coming forward. That happens quite often when we're driving, sitting, working at the computer. So the swing helps us lift our torso, and our arms pressing in helps to strengthen the shoulders and rearrange our posture, improve our ergonomics. So from here, we're going to utilize the leg loops in our hands again. And I'm going to walk it a little wider so that I'm coming from a sumo into about 9 and 3. So we're going to do some squats here so that we can both utilize the arms and the legs evenly. And they're just going to be tiny little pushing down with our hands and lifting. Just press. Let your hips drop a lot. So you can come all the way up to stand, but I want to work with this tiny little area here where that first effort that it takes, that oomph that it takes to get out of a chair. So utilize both your quads and the underbelly of the arms. That flappy part of the arms can start to strengthen when we come into our squats from a sumo. Now, you can use all legs and just do a little arms, right? Or you can use all arms and just do a little legs. So you can mix it up and do 50-50, or you can come into all legs and just let the arms be steady. Or, like I said, trying to use your arms to lift your entire body weight is really challenging, but it's very good to do these exercises in terms of healing any shoulder injury, balancing the left and right side to get them even. We can do all of our strength and all of our stretch in the swing together, and it feels really, really good to get the body activated, to get it strong and to wake it up. So I like to do not only all of my lengthening and expansion, I like to do all of the balance of contracting the muscles and expanding them together. Good, just a few moments in each part to do a little sampler today. Come back into your chillaxing arms and stay wide, 9 and 3 on the mat, and lean back. Just take a moment to stretch it out. We're gonna take some frequent breaks since we're doing a virtual training so that we can have any questions and discussion. Every 15 minutes or so, I'll check in to see if anybody needs anything. Obviously, learning how to get the swing into just the right spot so it's comfortable is one of the most common questions. You can spread it out. It will bunch up again, but yeah, if you spread it out a little bit and make sure that it's not twisted up. Sometimes I'll come out and grab it and make sure that it's not all twisted up, and that feels much better. So we want to keep the fabric nice and flat on the back. Then we have something to lean into. It's like a little platter behind the heart that we can enjoy, shining our sternum, our heart light towards the sky, head relaxed back into our hands, and then the hips can just gently rock from side to side. I'm pushing strongly into my feet to bend one knee and then the other knee and add a little twist at the edges at the end. Find your breath. Bring it back down. When we get into the workshop portion today from 4 to 6, I'm going to do a longer discussion about the Regenerative Therapeutix, about the Suspended Somatics therapy that I've been doing, about the bioenergetics and working with the energy body. So stay tuned and stick around for the workshop that's coming up from 4 to 6 as well. That's going to be more of a discussion and Q&A for the first half hour, and then I will get into some fun practices that we can do, especially for anybody who is just popping in and trying this for the first time. It's really good to get a understanding of what each pose is doing and why we're using it, and then from there understand and deepen into our practices together. So we'll have both. Since it is a very full day, doing 4 hours a day, it's not just always in the swing. There's going to be lots of downtime, lots of discussion, and then also from there we're going to end each day with a beautiful, deep relaxation, meditation, and dropping into cocoon. And I'll just pop out and show you cocoon in case anybody needs a break when they no longer want to do a particular practice or pose. The swing spreads out, and this is like the world-class favorite. Everything spreads out, both the leg loops and the main swing. So you can hop in, you grab a big handful, you make sure that it can stretch not only under the bum, but stretch all the way to the knees. And then you can actually lean back and just take a break like this. And you can do that whenever we're having a discussion, whenever we're going over any questions, whenever you just need a sacred pause. What's so great, again, about doing this at your own pace and your own time is you can always go back and rewatch something and do a sequence again and again until it feels comfortable in the body. Okay, so this is cocoon. We'll revisit it at the end, but let's go ahead and wrap our arms around and hop back out. Okay, so from our sumo, our number one pose that we access in our upright positions, all the other poses, again, make sure the swing is not tangled up, spread it out. And now we're going to start to incorporate more twists. I love the twists. So from here, we can use our forearm press or go into chillax and just make sure your neck is happy. My feet are going to be together for the first one. I'm going to pick up the left and step it over to the right. So I'm rolling to the outer edge of the right foot, and I'm going to add a little twist here. Now, as I'm leaning back, I can look over the opposite shoulder, and I can even extend like I'm doing a twist on the ground, and I can hold my knee, right hand, left knee, if I want to go a little bit deeper. And that should feel really good. We're dropping our hips towards the ground making a figure 4 with our legs. And then if you want to go a little bit deeper, you can even push into the swing with your forearms and rotate your gaze from left to right. Whenever we're moving from left to right with our eyes as well as our body, we're actually stimulating the vagus nerve and the nervous system to reset, creating a sense of calm and relief of that surface tension. So a lot of the suspended somatics work that I do with people, come on back to center and just sway your feet from side to side like windshield wipers, is learning how to reset the nervous system, but also understanding the relationship between trauma in the body, which has become a really popular word, but just work with me. Just go with it for a second. So we all have had experiences where the nervous system gets stuck in a contracted state, and we want to learn how we can release the nervous system, which is basically controlling the amount of tension and energy going to the muscles. So if the nervous system is always in a state of contraction, then the muscles are like pawns getting synapses fired and signals continuously. And so sometimes it's not even the muscle that's an issue when it's going into spasm, it's the nervous system stuck on a hypervigilant state. And so we can start to relax the nervous system by gently rocking from side to side, letting our gaze travel from left to right. And as we do this, it's resetting not only the spine, but the relationship, the interface of what the synapses are signaling to the muscles. So simple, so easy. So let's go ahead and roll all of our toes over to the left, pick up the right knee and step. I'm stepping to the 9-3 axis. If my mat was a clock, it would be 12 o'clock in front, 9 and 3 on the sides, 6 o'clock in back. And that way we can have a different reference point for working in the spin and spirals. When we're working with the more circular movements or multidimensional movement, it can be difficult to just use left and right. We have to actually work with the clock and 90 degrees or 45 degrees. So go ahead and just enjoy spinning from side to side, like I said, looking over one shoulder and then the other shoulder, twisting it out, wringing out the spine, as well as dropping the hips. If you want to assist, you can grab for the knee, deepen the twist, and also open up. So the swing is lifting while our hips are dropping, and that's what's creating space between the vertebrae. I always like to remind people to externally rotate the shoulder, bringing your thumb up and back. And we're going to work with the different spirals in the body, the external spiral and the internal spiral, and learn how to move in multidimensional space in a new way. Because the body does not operate on straight lines, it operates on spirals, just how the same way trees grow. Everything is a nautilus shell or a spiral in nature. And when we approach the body with like the same universal principles, it functions so much better. So as you can see, anybody can do this practice. This simple movement, the basics of wringing out the spine, of stretching, of opening, of coming into a back bend to balance all of the forward motion and the roundedness in the upper thoracic is going to help open up the front of the spine, the energy managers, and give some space. So go ahead and pull yourself back up to stand for a second. Take a break, just shake it out. I'm going to check in and make sure you guys are okay and see if there's any questions for me so far. I think we're good. Okay, great. Awesome. Again, just see how that feels. What are you noticing? What's the difference between now and when we start to wring out the spine? Most people tell me that they feel longer and taller, and now that there's like more of a fluffy feeling or more space in the body. And it's really simple. We can do it at any time. Get into the swing, do a sumo squat, do a back bend, add some twists, and just that is going to reset the body. Now we're going to come back in, take a breath. Let's go ahead and find our sumo squat, and we're going to work with the twists and just add a little bit more today so we can understand how to create balance in the body. Okay, so everybody has asymmetry, as I was saying, and I'm going to really focus on alignment this weekend. And we want to feel. So when we get into utilizing the postures and the poses for our specific needs and injuries, we just want to feel. Does your body twist easier to the left or to the right? And just notice, there's always one side that's a little tighter than the other. And when you find some tightness, for me it's to this side, I'm just going to pulse and hang out here and let it loosen up, let it stretch. And it's the same when we're balancing the hips. So we're going to bring our feet into Baddha Konasana, our butterfly, and we're going to do the same thing. We're going to rock our hips from side to side on the outer edge of the foot. And then we're going to pause at the edges. I'm pushing my arms in strongly, and then we're going to see which hip feels tighter when we drop the knee. And whatever hip feels tighter, maybe they both feel tight, and that's normal too, but just see if you can just rock a little bit, a little extra to that one side that feels like it needs it, and breathe into it. We're not going to force or push, we're just going to soften and pulse. So this tiny little micro movements, this tiny little rocking, as well as relaxing and breathing, is what opens up the body. And like I said, we all have different sticky spots. One spot might be a little tighter than the other, or one spot might feel a little weaker than the other. This is how injury happens, because the energy isn't flowing evenly. And we can use the swing to even it out. So even when we're doing yoga on the floor, I did many years of yoga, some 20 years, and I would injure myself because I was pushing too hard into the spots that were already tight. And then I wound up creating more of a asymmetry for my lower back and increasing my lower back pain instead of resolving it. And that's when I got really passionate about creating the swing practice and the different protocols for healing lower back pain, as well as neck and shoulder. So now we're going to do the same thing where we bring the legs wide and we're bending the knee in, coming up onto the toes. And I want you to just slow it down so you can feel. It's not about doing it right, it's about exploring. So playing is like exploring. So for me, it's the same side where this side feels a little tighter, and I'm just going to give it some time to balance out and open up. This feels like it's moving. And this is when we do some of the somatic work and we're getting curious and having time to explore our own body. And that's why I said this is a little different than my normal training. I usually just go through the sequences and the poses one by one, and it's more of like giving people the experience of the swing, learning the different practices and poses, but not enough time to slow it down and just feel what's happening in their body. Especially when we're learning something new, we can tend to get a little tight or overwhelmed. So that's why we're going to simplify the poses and then take time to just breathe and feel. Now, if the swing rides up, which it will do, then go ahead and give it a little hop. Hold on. You can come to stand, lean back. Make sure it's down towards the lower ribs, and then using your arms to push in strongly is going to help lock it into place. So I have a little space between my underarm and the swing. As soon as it hits your underarm, your lymph is going to start yelling at you, and the tenderness of the armpit, where then there's like a nerve bundle in there. And I do a lot of work with neuromuscular points, so we're going to get into that this weekend, but not yet. If it doesn't feel good, then mix it up, change it up. Make sure it feels good for your body. Okay, so then we're going to come into these belly dancing moves, I call it, or just rocking the hips from side to side, loosening it up, rolling it around, doing some loop-de-loops or figure eights. See where the hips want to go in space for you, exploring what it feels like. Where is there tightness? Where can there be more space or even relief? I found that the culprit to pain is contraction, and the remedy is space, expansion. So the more space and relief we can bring to the body, then it relieves that tension, because there's just an overabundance of stress happening in people's lives, in the world. Too much contraction, and the expansion and the spaciousness is what we need to bring the body back into balance. And that's what the swing is really good for. It's really good for opening it up and giving us lots of space in the body. Okay, we're going to go ahead and press back. Oh, bring the swing down, give it a little hop. Use your chillaxing arms to support your head. Bring the feet to 10 and 2, nice and wide, and come back into our swagger. So when we bend one knee and then the other knee, you can put your toes out a little bit more to the side to come into a side lunge. This is called Weeping Willow. And from Weeping Willow, we're going to come into the edges and give it a little twist, making sure we get that big arch, that arc through the spine like a rainbow, and leaning back into it. So we're doing our back bends as well as our twists and lunges all at the same time. And this should just feel really, really good. Slow it down, 5 more deep breaths. The swaying, like I'll repeat some things because they are important. The swaying from side to side and the harmonic motion is softening and lubricating the tissue. It's so simple, and it's not a movement that we do in a lot of our other exercises or trainings, but the rocking from side to side is what's going to balance the left and right. It's going to drain the lymph and create some more fluidity in the body. This will soften the tissues and start to open up the body in a way where the muscles can breathe again. They can get more blood and oxygen flow, and they can release the buildup of tension and lactic acid. Just this simple rocking motion. So everything I do has this harmonic motion or this wave, like we're in water. You know, and water has this fluidity to it, and I like to bring the fluid dynamics and spiral energetics into the practice more than I did when I started teaching this some 12, 13 years ago. So that's why I wanted to expand a more integrated practice of the aerial yoga play mixed in with the aerial yoga RX, the therapeutics. And now I've been working, especially since the pandemic in 2020, I've been working more with the Suspended Somatics therapy and just helping every single person recover from the either low or large levels of PTSD and overstimulated nervous systems and not getting as much movement in their body. So that's why I love this home practice. You know, it's fun going to the gym, it's fun going to classes, but I also want to give you something you can do at home every single day. So let's go ahead and utilize the leg loops again in our hands like we did before. We're going to walk our feet even wider, like we're 9 and 3 on the mat, and then come into a side lunge or a warrior 2. You can kind of pop up into it for a second, create the alignment, press down nice and strong, and look over your fingertips. Again, changing your gaze from side to side, keeping the crown of the head towards the sky, the tailbone pressing straight down. We're resetting the nervous system. We're working with calming and soothing the parts of the body with the eye movements and the rocking so that the body can reset. The body knows how to be in balance. The body knows how to come back into its own harmony and equanimity when given the right opportunities and circumstance. And that's what I want to share with you in the swing this weekend, is how to utilize the swing for whatever it is you need. Working with the lymph, the fascia, the nervous system, the immune system, the hormones, all of that. Just take a moment to play, right? So what can we do now with the swing to add a little bit more of a twist and a spiral? And there's no one way to do it. What feels good? The swing is supporting your weight, so you can just keep your weight back and add a little bit more of a twist, really tiny twist, or you can come up onto your toes and create a bigger twist to come into more of a warrior 3 with a revolved twist. Beautiful. Very nice, guys. Take it slow, take your time, roll around, see if you can let your tailbone trace the back of the mat and come into these little semicircle movements, and stretch the inner thigh as you are lengthening one leg and bending the opposite knee. And make sure that you're using your arms so you're balanced in your upper body and lower body simultaneously. The swing gives you something to push and pull against, and that helps you keep it in balance. When we're doing yoga on the floor, we can kind of lose our proprioceptive skills and not have something to give us a reference. So the swing is always going to stretch you evenly, always going to pull you back to center. And we're going to heel toe back to the front of the mat, give it a little hop. One more time with the feet together, coming in to our swagger, supported back bend, and rock it out. So we've been doing a lot with the upper body and the upper thoracic spine. And now we're going to come a little bit more into the legs. I'm going to mix it up and do upper body and then lower body and the back again. So then what we're going to do is open it wide, bend the knees, and just start to rock forward and back. Really gentle, really gentle. So this is a version of angel wings. You can even walk to the center of the mat and then push your legs all the way straight when you come back, and bend your knees and push your legs all the way straight coming up. And angel wings is one of my favorite poses to do when we're all practicing together to sync up. Open up the chest, rocking forward and back. Nice and easy. Have some fun with it. Make sure your thumbs are up. Keep that alignment. Inhaling and exhaling. Inhaling and exhaling. Very good. All right, from here we're just going to bend our knees, come back in, give it a little hop whenever you need, and then let's start to incorporate the leg loops. I'll come back and do more of the upper body strengthening, but let's use these for our feet and ankles. So that's why I call them leg loops. I usually put them on the legs. We're going to do one at a time, and this is why we did our knee lifts in the beginning as well, so we can start to get that strength through the core. But we also have to get our mobility, because to get our foot into the leg loops, we have to bend our knee out to the side, give it a little hop, and get the foot on there. So since I am teaching all levels, and for those that want to be certified teachers, I usually start just with like a little bit of a lift, right? So let's go for the left side and just pulse, coming into a seated pigeon pose, and just pulse. Open up the hips, because this is actually challenging. If you need some help getting the leg loops on, you can just take a pause, and I'll show you how to do that by sitting in this swing. It's challenging for some people, especially if you have a hip injury, to turn the knee out to the side and to lift. This movement here is activating the psoas, so it's very telling for me when I'm working with somebody one-on-one what muscles are working and what muscles are not, depending on where they're having difficulty. If you are having any trouble getting the leg loops on, just a little helpful hint, you can actually come up and sit in the swing like we did before. This is a really important cue, even for my teachers that have studied with me for a long time. I don't normally teach us this way, but working with injury is a little different than our normal aerial yoga play. So from here, I can get one leg loop on and then come back out. Okay, if I wanted to get both leg loops on, which we will do in a little bit, don't be afraid to take a pause, hop into the swing, and get the leg loops on from here. Once the leg loops are on, you can bring your arms back around, give it a little hop so it slides up your back, and then et voila, we're in chillaxin. But for those that are, thank you for watching and trying that out if you did, but stay here if that's what you need to do to get the leg loops on. But everybody else, let's come back, hold on to just the right one. Bend the right knee and do 5 lifts. Inhale, lengthen. Exhale, squeeze. Inhaling and exhaling. Inhale, lengthen. Exhale, squeeze, and then like I said, you're gonna bend your knee out to the side. You can even hold the foot with your hand to help it in there. And then we're gonna stay at the ankle. So if you were in chillaxin, bring one leg down, extend the other leg, and just have the leg loop on the ankle. We're gonna all do the right side together, and then we'll switch sides. So at first, we're just gonna be really easy about it. We're gonna gently rock from side to side. And as we're rocking, bringing the foot out to the side and then back to center, I'm letting my toes point up towards the sky. And then after a few moments of just loosening up the hip, this is called a half Buddha, we're gonna start to bend the toes, flex the foot, and rotate the toes like a windshield wiper from side to side. And notice the impact that that has on the hip crease, the femur inserting into the socket, and the rotation of the entire pelvis. So this is how we can bring some of the twists and spirals into our normal AYP practice and get a sense of how important it is not just to stretch straight forward and back or from side to side, but start to add some of the twists and spirals to the movement. If you need to bend the knee a little bit, you can do that too, to really get a sense of it. Most people, for the lower body, have more of an external spin than the internal. So we need more internal rotation in the lower body. And it just so happens that the upper body is just the opposite. We have more of that internal rotation from sitting at a computer and rolling the shoulders forward than the external. And so that's how we use the swing to balance both the up and down, the left and right, and then the spin in and out. This is actually really important for healing the lower back and hips. So after a few minutes of just spinning, we're gonna switch to the other side and check it out. So see which leg is tighter, you know, for everybody, but just check it out. So notice that the internal rotation is different than the external rotation. The leg naturally externally rotates more. And then we're gonna bring that foot down and switch sides. If you need to, come up and hop into the swing and do that one more time. I'll just demonstrate again. From sitting in the swing, it's a little bit easier for people to get that leg loop on. Okay, one way or another, get your leg up there. And if you can get your leg up there easily, feel blessed, because there are a lot of people that have trouble lifting their legs. Okay, so we're gonna go to the left side, pulling down. So we always hug the swing. We don't reach through the center because we'll lose the hook. We have to hug around the outside, grab for the leg loop, and then inhale, lift. Exhale, lower. Inhaling, squeeze. Exhale, lower. You can switch the breath if you want to. We're just lifting on the inhale and then exhaling, lengthen. And last one, we're gonna inhale, lift, karate chop it up there. If that doesn't work, grab for the foot, give it a little helping hand, and just know doing this regularly will start to loosen up the hips. That's something I encourage you to do every single day. You know, work the hips, work the shoulders. Especially with age, we want to keep our torso strong as well as our limbs so we can lift ourselves up, you know, off the ground. So we can, if we find ourselves hanging off the edge of a building, that we can lift ourselves up and bring ourselves up over a ledge. No, it's really important to stay limber and strong so that the body can be vital and alive. So we're going from side to side and just feeling, is this hip similar to the other hip? And slowing it down to feel. Most important thing when we start to add the suspended somatics is that we're just feeling and being much more aware. Awareness is the key for feeling in the body, like what's going on here? How is this leg operating compared to the other leg? And then we start to add, like I said, the internal an external windshield wiper of the foot with the heel flexed. So flexing the foot and then windshield wipering the toes, bending the toes forward and back, and twisting in the hip socket. This should feel really good. If it doesn't feel good, just make it micro movements. Maybe it doesn't go, maybe it's not going very far, and that's okay too. But if you can, really start to accentuate, exaggerate that internal rotation, even if it means you can see my hip is riding up on one side to try to get that femur to rotate in the socket in a new way. And external rotation is still good. You know, find the edges, lean back if for any reason you need a break with the swing, and just play. Play with the way that feels. And I'll just show you, we'll get more into it this weekend because we'll be utilizing these same poses again and again each day and adding on to them. Some of them a little bit more dynamic movements, some of them just like this, very chill and therapeutic. But we can lean back into it and actually start to work with the edges and go deeper into the spirals and twists, which is what I like to do now in my practice. Not always what I would teach with the aerial yoga play, but at this rate, everything is kind of integrated and blended. So just feel that too. How far can you twist and open up and come from one side to another, and pressing out in all directions to get as much space in the body, supporting the head and the neck while you do that. Really good. Bring it back down, wiggle it around. Most of the movements that I have found that has created tremendous relief for any sort of injury or long-standing asymmetry in the body is simply this rocking motion or the harmonic motion, harmonic movement, incorporated with the stretch and the strength together. Okay, we're going to come back to the first leg and try that again. So release the ankle one way or another, give it a little hop, come on back in, second side, a little bit faster now, right foot lifts, get that on the ankle, extend the leg as far as you can, and start to press into the foot that's on the ground. Hopefully it's the left. If you're doing the opposite, it's okay. Let's just keep it even. Do one side and the other side. And then I'm gonna start to spin out as well as come into a deeper twist. Find the right footing and the right position for you to be able to rock around and roll around and play and have some fun with it. You can even pick up the standing foot. You know, if you're feeling a little stronger, this will activate your glutes, your hamstring, and your core to play with the leg lifted. And again, we do all levels. It's the same pose, but we just add some variations into the difficulty of it. So yes, you can do it with straight legs. If I want to do a straight leg, I can come up and do an even bigger motion, which is so fun. Let's see what feels good to you today. How far do you want to go? Lots of variations. I'm giving you the sampler today so you can get a sense of what we're going to do this weekend, what we're going to learn. Each day will build on itself, so there's always going to be more. And you can, like I said, you can pop in and out. I love it when somebody can take the full training. It's actually 5 days instead of 4 days with this bonus Thursday. But you know, do it at your own pace and time. It's a lot of time in the swing, a total of 20 hours. And yeah, listen to your body. Not everybody has the same availability. To have this much time put aside is a miracle. Luckily, I do it for a living, so I had this time put aside. But to have 5 days for a deep dive like this, it's pretty miraculous. So maybe you just do one a week, you know? You just do 1 day a week, and then you have this completed after a month. Whatever it is, just do the best you can to enjoy the entire practice. And I will keep encouraging you to do this every day, even if it's just for 5 minutes. It's incredible. It's life-changing. It really is. So what we're going to do now is we're going to come into both legs for a moment. And this is called Floating Buddha. See if you can get the leg loop on both ankles, and then we're just going to do that same motion that we were just doing while standing with one foot on the ground, and we're going to windshield wiper from side to side, adding a twist with the upper body. I'm pushing one foot down and then the other foot down, and then I can come into a bigger swagger. Yay! So you can see I'm keeping my head lifted, my heart lifted, my hips completely heavy. So most people in this pose push their hips up. You really want to drop your hips all the way. Drop your hips even more, but see if you can isolate. I call it dynamic tension, where you lift the upper body and drop the lower body so that you can get that space. So when we're swaying from side to side, like I said, I look from one side to the other, and I'm working with the balancing of the hemispheres, rebalancing the brain, rebalancing the vagus nerve, and then opening up all the connective tissue, all the way down into the IT band, into the foot. I'm flexing my feet and pointing my toes and alternating to get a deeper stretch. Beautiful. So this is how we can reset, come it back, bring it back to balance. And then from here, I'm going to go back to the right leg. Take the left foot back out. Let's go into that external and internal rotation one more time. And this is all still part of the basic training for AYP. I'm just adding a lot more of the therapeutics and the body awareness with the somatics. So externally rotating while bending the knee is going to bring us into a pigeon pose. Now when we're in a seated pigeon pose, lean back whenever you need a break, listen to the body. You can reach around and grab. You notice how I let the swing slide down before I grabbed. I knew it was coming. Once I'm here, I can hold on to whatever I can hold to on. Maybe that's just holding on to the leg loop with both hands. Doesn't matter how far you go, because if we're gonna push or force, the body's gonna contract and retaliate in not a relaxing way. So we wanna find that edge and really work with the sweet spot. Engaged but relaxed, I call it. So hold on to whatever you can hold on to, leg loop or foot. And then I'm gonna start to just gently guide the knee down towards the ground. It's like a flutter, lifting and pressing to open up that hip a little bit more. Okay, you can see my hips are rocking. So the more that I tilt my left hip up, the more the right can point down. So the hips are square, and then I start to tilt and rock. Beautiful. From there, that's the external rotation. I'm gonna hold on to the swing. Hold on to the leg loops instead of the swing. Swing is here. Hold on to the leg loops. I'm going to, from internal rotation, I'm going to externally rotate. Now, when I do this, I'm going to also give it a little hop and pull myself up so that my knee has some space. And then I'm going to come into a quad stretch. So see if you can figure that out. If you don't give it a little hop, it'll wind up like this. And everyone goes, oh, it slid up to my knee. I'm like, yep, it does that. And if it does, push it back down and try again. So you have to give it a little hop, turn it in, and then over, knee pointing down towards the earth. So again, these are the things I do every single day. I go from my half Buddha, seated pigeon, into a quad stretch. And so when I'm here, I'm holding on to the top of the leg loops, which is called the nub, where the fabric meets the webbing. And I am just pulsing. I'm inhaling, bicep curl lift, pulling the knee towards the center of the mat, and exhale, extend and expand. So it's like a lunge, but then I have the foot hooked, and I can make this deeper by pulling the heel in with my elbow and forearm, and that will strengthen the stretch. Strongly strengthen the stretch. Say that fast. So yeah, so you can have the knee here if it's too much, because most of the tension that is happening in the lower back is because of the tight quads. We want to keep the chest lifted, the crown of the head pointing towards the sky to keep our alignment and our pillar. And then we're going to start to lift again, come on up, and point the toes towards the sky to release and let that go. take a break, right? Come on out of the swing if you need. Have a little sip of water. Usually when we get into the quads, people are like, oh my God, and can really feel it. Since we can do this at our own pace, let it be relaxed. If you need a bathroom break, water break, whatever you need, take care of yourself. And then when you're ready, we're gonna come back in and do second side, okay? We always return to our sumo. This will become second nature by the end of this weekend. So easy to get into it. So from our chair position, we heel toe wide to 10 and 2. We're gonna reach around, always have the swing by the underarms, so it's an external rotation. And then we hold on with both hands, kick the leg up, and we're gonna continue on with the left side. So from our half Buddha, I call this wagging the tail. We let the foot explore in the space like it's a tail. We're gonna do the external rotation first, where we bend the knee out. I flex the foot to protect the knee, and then I'm gonna reach around. Don't reach to the middle, I'll go no, no, no. And then outside in is yeah, yeah, yeah. So always keep that hook, even if we're just seated, we won't go too far, but we wanna have both arms around the swing. And then whatever you can hold on to, you can hold on to the foot, hold on to the leg loop, you can rock the baby and start to play with pushing and pulling in the space, pressing the knee down gently to help rotate the hips. We're going from squaring the hips to having a little bit of a tilt in the pelvis to get a little bit more rotation in space here. I always do the external rotation first, and you can really feel this in the back body where the iliac crest is and the piriformis, stretching the oblique, feels so good. And we can also rotate, do a little bit of external rotation on the thigh as we push the knee down, and that'll strengthen the stretch there. Okay, beautiful. Now, after a few rounds and a few breaths, there's no rush. Give it some time to open up, especially if your hips are feeling tight in this direction. Sit here for quite a while, just letting everything unfurl. Everything gets tight like a little rosebud, and in time, with enough warmth and energy and softness, it'll just start to blossom and open. And we're gonna have a lot of spring references now that we're finally getting to March and spring. Now from here, I want to from internal rotation, from external, I'm gonna internally rotate and turn it over. So with the internal rotation, I have to give it that little hop. Show you one more time. So from here, I'm holding on to the top of the leg loops. I flip it over and then hop. Yeah. So I want to have my alignment on the 9-3 axes. And then from there, holding on to the top, I can do little bicep curls and lift. And then lower and extend. So I'm extending the knee to the back, to the side of the mat, to the outer edge. And then I can inhale, lift the knee to the center. I can even come to stand a little bit more. In our practice, we can do 100 bicep curls each time and not even realize it, because we're utilizing our arms as much as we utilize our legs, and we're keeping it in balance. So important to keep that balance. Inhaling, lift. Exhaling, lower. Very good. Let that feel good. Take your time with it. Inhale, expand, really stretch it out. You can even straighten the front leg if you're feeling a little bit more flexy. Getting a big stretch to the back of the hamstring while we stretch the alternate quad. But let's keep, most importantly, keep our gaze lifted, our heart lifted, our crown lifted. Most people start to do this in the pose. So I'm just going to show you what not to do so you know how to press the back of your head into an invisible wall so that your sternum can lift as your pelvis drops. Right? Gravity is going to help you with dropping the pelvis. So focus on the upper body lifting and using the swing to help with that lift. The alignment is key. When we stretch with the proper alignment, then we heal the body. If we stretch and we're out of alignment, we actually reinforce the injury. So it's super important, really important that we have both the length as well as the alignment. When you're ready, bicep curl, come to stand, put your toes towards the ground, nice and easy. Let that knee go. And take another pause. We're just gonna feel again, give the upper body a break. We're gonna do one more round with the legs and then switch it to the upper body. But just take a moment to feel, maybe check out your new hips. Maybe there's a little bit more rotation and space. You know, we don't do a lot of this movement in life, like, oh yeah, maybe at the supermarket. You can be like, there's more room now. Look, I can bend a little bit easier. Maybe you can play with that internal and external rotation and notice the difference there. Like, oh yeah, the hips are moving a little bit better. They feel a little bit more freer because it all locks up, especially here in the sacrum and the glutes. So we're gonna keep stretching that and working that out so that the body has more length, more space, therefore more energy flow. And then it can get more blood and oxygen to those parts, as well as release the buildup of tension. And the lactic acid is a big reason why people are having so many problems with their muscles. Their muscles are clogged and cannot absorb new blood and oxygen if it's congested and stuck. And then it's not able to absorb new minerals, and that is the conductivity of the body. And we'll get more into the conductivity and the energy flow, not only of the physical body, but the subtle energy bodies and all the layers of the body that are communicating. So we're gonna hop back in, take another breath. If you wanna start and pause here, find your ground, find your center. I tend to go a little fast after a few rounds, but we can slow it down and keep our alignment. Inhaling, arms towards the sky, exhaling, hug behind. And it's always gonna feel a little bit high because it stretches a lot. And when we come to a sumo squat, just to back up a little with our alignment, so how do we know whether the swing is too high or too low? I usually like to use my hips as the measurement. So if the knee is in alignment with the hip, I'm in a good place. If it's too low, it's not a big deal. It is a little bit more comfortable to bring it up. If it's too high and you're like all the way up here, then just lower the swing one notch or two. The swings come with the daisy chains where you can adjust the height up and down. So we're gonna go back into our floating Buddha to get the leg loops on, and then chillaxin, just to give you the names, and I'll say them over and over again. Floating Buddha is with the leg loops at the ankles. This is all in the manual, and you also get, when you sign up for this training, you also get the online course, so you can practice the names and get the sequences down. So don't worry about that for today. Just give yourself an experience, since it's so much information for those that are new. These are just, the names are supposed to be fun and playful and silly and easy to remember because it's like a floating Buddha. It's supposed to be peaceful. But yeah, so chillaxin is with the leg loops at the knees, floating Buddha is with the leg loops at the ankles. So we're coming back in, let's get both leg loops on one at a time. Always hug the swing, give it a little lift, karate chop your foot up there. We're working with the ankles still, stay wrapped around, pull down as much as you pull the knee up so you can get the foot in there. And then when we're working with floating Buddha, we'll go over the whole sequence, but I am going to do some modification so that we can have enough time to go through all of the chill flow. So this is a version of the vinyasa flow when I'm with the leg loops at the ankles, and it actually is a little bit harder or a little bit more advanced. So if you find this uncomfortable for the back of the knee or for the legs, everything spreads out. Okay, so you can adjust. So the leg loops can slide from covering the foot and the heel all the way to the back of the knee. Everything spreads out, and most people find this to be a little bit more comfortable. Now, obviously, the swing behind the heart can spread out, but if you spread it out, it's just going to bunch up again. So I will give you the option for anybody who needs it in this position to get into the swing and try it that way. So we're going to transition to the knees and then bicep curl, lift ourselves up so the leg loops slide all the way up into the groin, and you can hop into the swing and practice from here. And don't be afraid to hop into the swing if your body really needs it and it's just too much pressure for now. You can spread the leg loops out and you can do a version of this, get creative, where you can just do your windshield wipers from here. Okay, so I'm going to show you all the different variations from going from like very basic beginner all the way up to more advanced, even with the basic training. So if getting the leg loops on was challenging, you get a big handful, you slide it down, hop in, and then you put one leg loop on at a time. Usually you can lean back and lift your leg a little bit easier, spread it out. And this works for like all ages and all sizes that way. So wherever somebody is, when we're teaching somebody, we meet them where they're at so that they feel confident that they can utilize the swing to help them get stronger, or help them get more fit. So if you want to try just leaning back, even if you're more advanced, spread out the leg loops and then just gently rock from side to side for a few minutes. So this is the restorative version and looks very similar. And then for those that want to stay here and try the different practices, just stay here and make it up. For those that want to transition to floating Buddha where we were, you wrap your arms around the outside, lift up to grab for the front edge of the swing. So now that I'm here, I reach up as high as I can and I give myself a little lift. So I bring my legs wide to bunch up the swing behind my back, and I wind up here in floating Buddha. Give it a little adjustment whenever you need, okay? Since we are hanging, like I said, by our upper body, it can get a little tender and a little sore. So this is windshield wipers with the leg loops spread out, and then you can do the same thing with them bunched up for the more advanced of the beginner version. So after doing straight legs from side to side, we're gonna bend one knee and then the other knee and come into what I call like a jackknife. And that just feels really good to bend. So try that if you are in the swing, all spread out in cocoon as well. And see if you could just bend one knee and then the other knee. The variations are going to be much more subtle, but it's still incredible on the body, just to get the hips open. So once we bend one knee and the other knee, we can come into another version of pigeon. Whenever you need a break, you can come back into chillaxin or even come up and come on out. Because I know for people who haven't been practicing with the swing behind their back the whole time, it might get a little tender and sore. So just come on up and take frequent breaks. If you just give it a minute and come back in, you'll notice it feels so much better. So listen to your body whenever you need. I'm giving lots of variations so you feel confident to approach the swing at whatever level you're at. Let's all bend the right knee. Always hug the swing, reach around and grab for the leg loop again. I'm going to use my right hand to push the right knee down. And if for some reason, if the knee feels like a little tender, a little strange, just be gentle. Don't push too hard. But if you have a little bit more room and flexibility, we're going to reach up higher. My left hand reaching up onto the right leg loop, and I'm going to push the bottom of the foot into the quad for my side tree. And side tree is one of these great poses where you get to push your hips forward so the knee points down towards the ground and my left hand is strongly engaged in order to hold my weight. So come on down whenever you're ready. If it feels really good, you can stretch out and really start to swing. And that is called a flying ninja. As soon as you get into more of the playful poses, we just have slightly different names to identify their uniqueness. And then we're all going to come back into windshield wipers in between to reset and neutralize the spine. Alrighty. Take some deep breaths. Let's go ahead and do second side. Left knee bends into jackknife. Once we're here, we're going to reach around. So remember to hug the swing. It's easy to reach through the center and you'll lose your hook. So reach around and grab for the leg loop. Let's come back into the squaring the hips and a seated pigeon pose, and then we just start to push down on the knee to get into our side tree, side pigeon. So if for any reason this is as far as you go, that's fine. You don't have to push the bottom of the foot into the inner thigh. In order to get the full position, you have to lift with your right hand. So I'm pulling strongly and reaching up as high as I can. And then when I lift, the bottom of the foot perfectly fits right above the knee. Perfect. And then I'm going to stretch out as far as I can, lengthening my fingertips and toes. You can always support the head with your hand. You can look down, you can look up, you can figure out what is the best position to be comfortable in some of these poses. We don't ever want to leave with neck tension. We want to leave with like a nice, happy, long, supple spine and all of the muscles being strengthened, but also finding stretch and relief. So there's lots of variations here. You can bend both knees. If you don't have enough space in your home, you can always modify. Come out nice and slow, being very tender and careful with your knees. I have very delicate knees, and they like slow transitions. And so we're going to windshield wiper just for a few more breaths here and then try our flow. So I usually start with the half vinyasa flow. So when I do the flow, I'm going to hold on to the swing and lean back and squeeze my legs together. This is called ladle position. So you can see my legs go from wide to together to leaning back. And when I lean back, I can let the swing slide up and down. So this is also another way to take pressure off the upper back. Right? You can always squeeze, lean back, let the swing come towards the waist. I usually like to shimmy it so it's right across the hips. So this is our first real inversion. And when I do this pose, I'm opening up the whole endocrine system. Like I said, I'm going to explain a lot more about what we're doing in the swing and why with these poses. So opening up the front of the spine and coming into a back bend inversion strongly stimulates the functionality of the energy managers of the body. So it just so happens, and you guys might know this, but just in case, we'll have a nice review. The chakras overlay the endocrine system along the central pathway of the spine. So the chakras are the energy psychic centers, the energy centers that are very well known within the Eastern tradition. And then we have something like the endocrine system that is part of our Western medicine tradition. And the endocrine system is known for excreting the different hormones from the glands. And these hormones control our mood, our attitude, our sleep, our energy levels, everything, and our digestion. Most of the issues I see people have, energetic issues, are because of the posturing or the collapse of the spine, particularly through the front of the body. So the back of the body is tight, like a little tortoise shell, and curved, and the front of the body is collapsed and weak. So what we're doing here is we're opening up the central pathway. We're turning on the endocrine system by coming into back bends, and then when we're in those positions, there's different breathing exercises we can do to pump energy. These are considered the yang poses. I'm going to tell you that it is strong. You can always bend your knees if listening to me is like a little much. But it is strong to detoxify the body in this way. Because what's going to happen is all of the stuckness and the stagnation that's been living in the tissues, in the lymph, in the endocrine system, in the bloodstream, you're going to have a massive detoxification. And some people will get a little woozy or dizzy by coming into back bends and inversions. Now, I just encourage you to try a little bit every day. Work up to doing 5 minutes a day. It's the best possible thing you can do for your body, not only for, like I said, your mood, your attitude, your sleep, your energy levels, but it is reversing the circulation and getting all of that stuck and stagnant energy out of the body. It naturally will balance your hormones and boost your immune system and really rebalance your brain so your body produces happy hormones again and not just stress hormones, which is kind of what has been the MO in our society is just overworking, overdoing, and an overabundance of adrenaline and stress hormones, which are kind of wreaking havoc on the body's function. So thank you for letting me share a little bit more about what I'm passionate about with the movement of the swing and why these poses are so important and what they're doing. When people come into a class and they get nauseous or they're dizzy, they're like, oh, this isn't for me. Like, my body didn't do well. And I'm always telling them, no, it's just the opposite. Like, congratulations on getting a free cleanse, because that is your body responding in a way, letting you know that it's rebalancing itself, and it's very powerful and it's very quick. So take it easy with the back bend inversions until you're used to it, but I'm telling you, do those every day, 30 seconds a day, again and again, until you can build up to 5 minutes. So it's like 30 seconds, come back out, 30 seconds, do that for the first month 3 times in a row, and then after doing like a minute or a minute and a half, you can build up to doing longer and longer back bends and inversions. And this is how, like I said, you can rebalance the whole body, strengthen all of the functions. It's so important, especially as we get older, to balance our hormones, not just reproductive hormones. Every gland, every part of the endocrine system works together, and opening up the front of the spine, getting space, strengthening, and then boosting the energy with the breath and the length is key. So let's try it, okay? So that's the MO for the vinyasa flow. Let's come back to the ankles and come wide, squeeze together. One more time, I'm going to show you holding on to the swing. Release back, let the swing slide up and down the spine, and then come drop the hips, lift the head, and come back to sit. And maybe that's enough for you for today, so you don't have to go too far. But I'm also going to let you know I do a lot of the fascia work, kind of like people do with the foam roller. I do it in the swing, so I'm using the fabric to traction up and down the spine to wring out the tension in the muscles, and it feels amazing. So the more that you can go up and down with the swing, leaning back and coming back up a few times, we'll do a few rounds. It's incredible for releasing all the tension in the back. So we're going to inhale, tee the arms, okay? Then we're going to exhale, squeeze together, press the hips up and lean back. Now I'm hooking my forearms, my hands are at prayer at my heart. I'm hooking with my forearms and I'm pressing up. Exhale, drop the hips and come to sit. So that is from a T to a namaste. And we're going to hold, I just wanted to show you, it's prayer around at the heart, squeeze, press up strongly, push the hips up. Now keep your thumbs on your sternum because it'll be easy to drop your hands to your waist and lose the namaste. But this is a really great pose for opening up the shoulders and getting a good stretch in the upper body. So let's add into our flow from there. Inhale, T, and then without moving the hips, we're coming into star, which means I'm from my upper thoracic spine, I'm leaning back into the swing and opening up my arms. I'm stretching my fingertips and my toes. So inhale, T, exhale, star. Practice that a few times. We're taking little bite-sized pieces to really get what we're doing here. Hips don't move. Most people push their hips up to lean back, but not yet. So drop the hips, just open the chest. So we're initiating our back bend from the upper thoracic spine. So we can isolate the upper and lower body. Okay, so the lower back is already arched. We don't want to arch where it's already arched. The same with our neck. We want to arch at the upper thoracic spine where we can get that big lift through the entire torso. Then from there, we can come into prayer, namaste, and then lean back. Now we push the hips up. Now once the hips are up, then we can hold on to the swing and slide down into what's called ladle. Once we're in ladle, we can stay holding on, or we can practice bringing our arms out to the side or overhead and swim our arms around in the back plane. See if that feels good to rotate through the shoulders. If that's scary, just keep holding on. But the full ladle pose is with the hands overhead. And then you can swim them back. Reach up, grab for the swing. Inhale, exhale, drop the hips, open up. Yay! So I love back bends and inversions. You can tell I'm a little bit more used to it. So just take a moment and just feel what just happened. You can get like a free high, a little, like I said, like woo, because we're just not used to getting this much blood and oxygen flowing in the opposite direction. So let's try that one more time. Inhaling T, exhaling star. Inhale, namaste. Exhale, squeeze the legs together. Inhale, press up, and then exhale, lean back. Beautiful. Inhale, reach up and grab for the swing, and exhale, let it slide down to your waist. Crown of the head points to the floor behind you. Inhale, swim your arms overhead and together. Take a breath. Feel the front of the spine opening. Feel the length happening through the torso. And then inhale, swim the arms wide and around, bicep curl, lift, and come to sit. Whew, really good. We're going to do that one more time. There is an easier version, just so you know, for those that are feeling a little pressure in the back of the legs, you can spread everything out and try it like that. Why not? Let's go ahead and try it with the extended leg loops. Inhale T, exhale star, inhale namaste, exhale squeeze, inhale lift, and exhale lean back. Inhale, reach up and grab for the swing, and exhale, slide down, swing, moves towards the hips. You can shimmy it a little bit so it's a little bit more comfortable on your waist. Below the love handles is a little bit better. And then if it feels good, swim your arms. Inhale, up and overhead. Exhale, relax. Squeeze the legs together, nice long lines of energy. Inhale, swim your arms back up and around. Exhale, bicep curl, drop the hips, and come to sit. All right, really good. There's a bunch of different poses we can build on from there, but we're going to stay more in the therapeutics realm and just take a little pause in chillaxin. Come on up, reach for your knees, slide up the leg loops as high as you can, and bicep curl, pull yourself up to stand. So this is called high skydiver position. And again, it's very clothes dependent how well it slides. I, of course, like more of the slippery materials, but see if you can untwist it, if it got twisted, and let it slide all the way up to your inner thigh. And there is a sweet spot where it feels better. So whenever you need a break, you can come up into a skydiver and just take a pause and just notice, what did that feel like to come into the supported back bend and an inversion? It's a really powerful pose. And from there, in our intermediate training, we go into the full inversion that I call Peaceful Warrior. And I'll just demonstrate that for anybody who likes to go upside down. We can do it from here and press the swing down to the hips, wrap the legs around and go upside down. So we can get into this position where the swing is around the crest, the iliac crest, and it's tracing the shape of the psoas down to the inner thigh, and the feet are hooked. We'll learn how to get into the inversions in the intermediate training. For the basics, I usually just bring people into a forward fold and then a supported headstand. That's pretty much as far as people normally want to go. But we're going to just go from here into a very, like, bringing it down. I know it's been a full day already. We're going to bring it down into a chillaxin pose. But I want you to know, even in chillaxin pose, if you feel like, all right, I want to come to stand, I want to get a little sip of water, whatever you need to do, feel free to come out. So to transition back into the leg loops at the knees, we just drop our hips and come in one at a time, like this. Yeah. And if you want to come all the way out, like I said, take a little break. You just take the leg loops off one at a time. Stay in your sumo. And then hold on to the swing and come up. I'm going to see if there's any questions before we continue on. Get a little sip of water. Bring it down. A lot of times if we just ground after doing an inversion and a back bend, it gives the body a chance to reset. You probably noticed that you got pretty hot too, because once we open up the front of the spine, we get this big heat wave. That's how we can build energy in the body. All of the poses that are forward folds are cooling poses and calming poses, where all of the back bends and all of the inversions are yang poses and more activating poses. So that's a really good way to boost energy in the body when you want to bring the energy up. And then if you want to bring the energy down, like cooling it down, then we roll in and we fold in. So every pose in yoga is like an inhalation and an expansion, and then an exhalation, and then a closing and rounding in. And just this undulation back and forth is pumping energy through the body. And we want to keep that even. We want to keep our inhalation and our exhalation in balance, so we can have both the yin and yang. We can have both the cooling and the relaxing, as well as the energizing and expanding. As long as we keep those in practice, in balance, then everything works together. We have both the energy moving down and grounding down, and then we have the energy moving up, and we know how to move the energy in the body. So let's jump back in. I'm going to just take a pause here and make sure that we're all good. All right, we're going to save some of the questions for at the end. This is great. Thank you so much for sticking with it. After chillaxing, we'll get more into the forward folds and bring the energy back down. So push the swing down towards the hips, standing in the center of the mat. It's just going to go towards the lower ribs, and then when you lean back, you can come back in nice and slow. Find your sumo, and feel free to hang out here as well whenever you need a break when we are suspended. But I do have to say, the chillaxing sequence is one of the favorites. So floating Buddha is a little bit harder with the leg loops at the ankles. When we bring the leg loops closer to the center line, we have more support of the weight of the body, so the leg loops all the way up at our hips is going to be the most supportive. Knees would be the medium or the halfway, and then at the ankles will be the hardest of the sequences. So now we're going to do a chill flow. It looks similar to the vinyasa flow, but a little bit easier with the leg loops at the knees. So let's go ahead and grab for the right one. Take a nice big breath. Inhale here, exhale, lift, and get the leg loop now from the ankle, slide it up to the knee. Second side, we're going to reach around, grab for the leg loop. Inhale, lengthen the knee down. Exhale, squeeze, lift, and get that on right behind the knee. And these are all in the basic training. All of these poses that I'm sharing with you are the basic training. And these are the building blocks that we use for everything else. So see if you need to make any adjustment. You can give it a little hop, get the swing a little bit lower. Use your chillaxin hands where we strongly interlace the fingers, place them behind the back of the head, and see if you can come into your swagger. Stretch out the neck. When I do the AYRx Therapeutix and we get more into that, we're going to do a lot of neck stretches. We're going to work a lot with the two major hubs of the body. But just while we're here, see if you can use your hands to give your neck a little stretch. And remember, we're moving our eye gaze from side to side, opposite of the knees. And by doing that, we're balancing the left and right brain, the left and right hemispheres, the left and right sides of the body, simply by changing planes, changing sides. Good. So our mantra when we do chillaxin is hips heavy. Notice the hips will try and ride up. You're going to deepen in the hip creases and press the pubic bone down. Hips heavy, heart open. So see if you can drop the hips and still keep the chest lifted instead of them being attached or working, as one solid block. you can start to stretch them in opposite directions, pushing down to lift up, and then head relaxed. Hips heavy, heart open, head relaxed. That is our mantra in all of these practices. And just push one knee down and then the other knee down like we did in windshield wiper to get a little bit more swagger. If you need to slow it down, just do that nice and slow. If you like more of the dynamic movements, you can start to twist and spin at the edges and have some playtime, have some fun with it. Yeah, so depending on your mood, you can bring the energy up, or if you want to be chill about it, you can bring it down and be nice and slow. Just depends on the day, depends on the time of day, depends on what you're looking for. So I like to extend one leg and then the other leg and play with the variations to stretch out the IT band and stretch both the internal and external rotation, if you can remember to incorporate that into what we're doing. What would that look like here, right? To really pay attention to internal and external. Let's all meet back in the center after a few moments of playtime and just feel what's happening in the body. Feel if you need a back bend. You can do the same thing where you hold on to the swing, and we're all going to slide up and down the back a few times. See if you can get the swing to slide closer to the hips by pushing your head down towards the earth, and also you can actually let it slide higher than normal, where you're letting the swing slide all the way up so your shoulders are squeezed by your ears for a moment. And when we're tractioning the spine, we can lose that hook for a second and just utilize the fabric to wring out the tension along the whole central pathway. And it feels really good to dig in. Your body will get used to wringing out the fascia. We're not used to this much pressure on the body, and it's so good. It's so good for our lymph. It's so good for hydrating the tissue. It's so good to create more of a suppleness in these parts that get so tight. And we will be getting into the neck and shoulders as the weekend rolls on. We're mainly focusing on the hips right now, but we have lots and lots of poses and practices to dig into the neck and shoulders. Particularly, we can work on the ground and do some of the suspended somatics therapy on the ground, which I might do on Sunday with you, where we can get deep into the neck, and it's just incredible. So we all have our hubs. Some of us are lucky enough to have tension in both places, but usually it's either lower back or neck and shoulders. I'm more of a lower back person, but obviously the neck and shoulders will get tight sometimes, and I'll give that a little extra focus when it does. So we're going to come back through center. So I'm just going to show you the difference when I say reach for your knees. It's because we want to grab the leg loops. And when we reach for the swing and try and pull ourselves up, it's a little bit unstable. So just imagine when we're practicing together, I can usually see you. Make sure that you distinguish between the leg loops at your knees and then holding on to the swing. So let's go ahead and come into a seated pigeon pose, similar to what we did before. We're going to keep working on those hips. So we're going to get our right foot on top of the left, and you can try and use a little momentum there. If it feels tight, just give it a little helping hand, and then go back into chillaxing arms, where you can lean back a little. My foot is behind the leg loop, and from here, you can just let the bottom foot explore in space. And so when we're here, we're going to remember to breathe. Can we push our hips down as well as let our chest rise, supporting the head so our crown is relaxed, but we can still get in tune and in touch with our pillar, the strong axes along the central pathway of the spine, no matter what position we're in. So most of the time, people are looking forward and down, so we have to let our head sink back into our hands and get a little bit more of a back bend with the upper body to balance out our posture. This is something that is easy to do in the swing because it is pushing the back of the heart forward. So it's giving you a little platter or something to push against. in order to get the leverage to let your head sink back. And this is so good for just gently opening up the front of the spine in a supported position. From our seated pigeon, we can come into crossing the legs. That's also nice, a version of Gomukhasana where we can reach with our left hand and grab for the right foot and pull that back to get a deeper glute stretch. And we can also wag the tail where the bottom foot is exploring from left to right, which will change the angle and the dynamic nature of this stretch. I really love seated pigeon. I do this all day, every day, as much as possible. You can easily pop in a movie or sit on the phone and be in a conversation and still be stretching. I want to normalize for all those that are working online that we get in our swings and we can have calls from our swings. We can all just be hanging together. Wouldn't that be amazing if we could all do our Zoom meetings like this? Sitting in a chair is probably the toughest thing for our spine, the hardest thing on our body. So imagine this is similar to sitting in a chair, but there's no pressure. There's nothing pushing on our vertebrae, and therefore we're getting the length and traction, all while just hanging out, doing our work. So see if you can release that and come into second side, getting the left foot behind the leg loop on top of your quad. So I like to flex the feet to keep the knees happy. If your knees don't bother you, you can be relaxed, but flexing the foot will always make sure you have that alignment, and therefore you can feel a little bit more of the release and the stretch through the hip joint when you flex the foot. I like to wag. I'm still pushing my hips down, lifting my heart and leaning back. And I'm giving my body some time to unwind. Even doing this pose every single day for years and years and years, it's still tight. There's always tightness because the body is regaining its tension each day from its use, right? Like I spent all morning prepping and setting up all of the technology, so I was sitting more than normal and I couldn't wait to get into the swing. I was so stoked to be practicing with you guys, and it's so nice to practice together and get that motivation. It's always better to practice together. So hold on to these videos, watch them again and again. You can do this same practice every day, even if it's just for a few minutes. You can fast forward and be like, oh yeah, I love that seated pigeon pose. Let's go ahead and just do that for a little bit and open up the hips. You can always lean back, give the upper body a break whenever it needs. Take pressure off the upper back and then come back in again. It does take some time to get used to the swing. This is a big dose that you're getting. If you practice all the time, then it is easy to adapt to. If you're new to it, then like I said, come out, give yourself lots of breaks. The way you can transition and just take 30 seconds and come back in is to hold on to the leg loops. Remember, hold on to the leg loops, not the swing. Come on up and just breathe and ground. After a few minutes of resetting, your body is usually happy to come back in again. But if you don't listen to that cue to take a break, then the body starts getting irritated and a little ornery about the pressure. So whenever we come up, it's like we let it breathe and expand again, and that pressure, which is wringing out the tension, then it fluffs back up. And so it's like taking a towel and wringing it out, and then when we release it, that's when all the blood and oxygen can get back into the upper body and into these tight spots. And then after it's like, oh, that feels so much better, then you can come back in. So let's all return to our left foot on top. Just popping around and showing you the different variations. Now I like to go into Gomukhasana here, where I can sit cross-legged, right hand can reach for the left foot, and I'm pulling in towards my hip as well as letting that bottom foot explore in the space. Notice I can hold on to my neck and head where the occipital ridge is. I like to use that as like the nape of the neck and skull connecting as support. And then I'm also stretching open my left shoulder at the same time. So every part of the pose is very intentional in the way that it is rebalancing the body. It's encouraging the back bend. It's encouraging the hips to drop and to open. And then I'm encouraging my neck to stretch and relax as well. Okay, so from here, we're going to go back into an extended leg. So I just straighten the leg. I can reach around and grab for the leg loop. My right hand is going to stay around the swing. Grabbing for the leg loop, I can go into a deeper twist, extended leg twist, and then you can also extend your arm and fingertips and look towards your thumb. Let's see if that feels good. I can rock just by pulling. I'm pulling with my right hand and playing a little bit, or you can stay perfectly still and drop in. So notice the hips like to rise up. That's because there's tightness there. Press them down and you can pulse with the breath. You can inhale and lift your hips a little, and then exhale, press the tailbone down. That's the stretch. Beautiful. Inhaling, lift, and exhale, let it go. Very good. Inhaling and exhaling. Come on down. I can just lift the foot. Come on back to swagger. Gonna make sure that everything is in a good position. You can spread out the leg loops a little bit. I'm just letting you know they will bunch up, but if for some reason the tenderness on the back of the knee is bugging you, you can just take a little break here and spread the leg loops out for a moment. That does happen. The lymph gather at the joints. So we're actually hitting all the lymph nodes in the back of the knees, which is really good for draining out the stagnant energy in the legs, but it can be a little much. So you have to work up to it. That sensitivity just means that there's some stagnation there. And as they release, then it definitely feels better. But we want to release slowly and listen to the body and what it needs. All right, we're going to go back to the right leg extended and just finish up with the extended leg twist on this side. From here, I can reach around with my left hand and grab for the right leg loop and pull. Once I pull with the extended leg, I'm going to extend the opposite arm. So my right fingertips are pointing on a diagonal and I can look towards my thumb, bringing out the neck. And then try pulsing. Inhale, lift the hips. Exhale, press them down. And notice the difference when you press. Inhale, lift. And then exhale, revisit that tension. You don't have to sit there and suffer if it feels too tight. You just inhale, come out of it. And then exhale, drop again with the breath. Inhaling, lift. And exhaling, release back down, really good. Stretch it out, stretch from fingertips to toes. Really get long lines of energy in the body. Beautiful. Lift that foot to release and come on back to center, back to swagger. All right. Let's pull ourselves back up for a breath, reaching for the knees. Bicep curl, lift. I love sliding up and down the legs. Every time I do that, I'm also working the fascia and wringing out all the tension in the legs, both in the inner thighs and in the back of the hamstrings. So this weekend, we are going to do a lot of fascia work in the swing. I love that feeling of utilizing, instead of a foam roller, I'm using the fabric to get into the IT band, to get into the quads, to get into the hamstring and work the legs. And the fascia, like I said, is usually adhered to the muscle and can build up scar tissue, especially in the quads and in the joints. And then that inhibits, it's like a dam that inhibits the flow of energy through the legs. And this helps with the quality of the skin, the way with aging that we can get the cellulite or the varicose veins and all that stuff. We have to work the fascia. It's from all of the sitting and all of the stagnant energy getting it just gets stuck, and then we're not able to get the maximum amount of energy flow through the limbs, which helps us obviously, drain the energy down, but also pull energy up from the earth. And we're going to work a lot with the microcosmic orbit and get a little bit more into the sacred geometrics at the end of this weekend. That's going to be our bonus day on Monday. Is my latest and greatest passion is to bring the double tetrahedron and the toroidal force field and working with the quantum field and the Merkaba, activating the light body with the swing and understanding the two flow of movement. That's why I work with the golden bubble a lot. We're working with the energy that is flowing up and the energy flowing down, and this is the kind of river of life that has been depicted for thousands of years through the ancient traditions of understanding how to work with the Kundalini energy and how to use breath and movement with the microcosmic orbit to heal the body. And that's a big part of what I do with the quantum energetics, is understanding the sacred geometry of the body, the spiraling energy, and the fluid dynamics, and then the body can function optimally. Then we can be in the mindset of preventative health. So we're not waiting for something to be injured or broken. We're keeping the body in its optimal state of wellness, and therefore not only do we function better, but then we sleep better and we have better mood, better attitude, better mindset. And so it's a mind, body, spirit connection. And we can use the swing or any medium as a vehicle for that transformation. I just think the swing is more fun. So it encourages me to do it. I look forward to getting into the swing every single day. I absolutely love this practice. It's a huge part of my life. And, after a couple decades, it's easy for things to drop off. But for me, this has been my steadfast, my go-to. And after making so many different iterations of the swing, it keeps improving. These new swings are not only the cotton lycra blend, but they're the highest thread count Egyptian cotton that I could possibly find. So I find the absolute best ingredients for the practice, the best quality of fabric and materials. And so it's really important to me to create something that is a deluxe and a superior experience. And so the AYRx yoga swings will be available to you guys at a massive discount when you get the training. I'm giving the swing training combination for $300 off. So that's like a huge discount that I don't normally do, but I'm super excited to get you guys in a swing. If you don't have a swing, it's important, to have one at home. It's great to take classes. There are some great studios. I work over here in Meta Yoga in Marin, and I teach there about once a month, and I have some other teachers that I've certified that also offer classes there. So if you're in the Bay Area, Meta Yoga is where you can take some classes, but get a swing for your home while we're having this special. It's just going to be for the next week. So take advantage of that. You'll get the full 5 days of replays with the training. And with that, you can also get a swing. So look on my website for that special. I'll put the links both on YouTube and on Zoom for that. But if you haven't seen me on Facebook or Instagram, my team has been doing an incredible job. Thank you, virtual team, for doing some great promotions for this. And you'll see all of the web links for that. Okay, let's come back in. I'm going to go ahead and slide into chillaxin pose so we can go over our chill flow. And whenever we need a little break, we just take 5 minutes. We have a little discussion. We talk about how we're feeling and what we're doing, and then we can just hop back in. And frequent breaks is highly recommended. Even if you need a bio break, run to the restroom, make sure you stay hydrated, have a little nibble, don't eat too much, but have a little nibble in between things, so that your body can be digesting while exercising and learning some new things. So from chillaxin, let's try our chill flow. It looks like the vinyasa flow. It's just with the leg loops at the knees, it's a little different. So we're gonna do that same movement where we can open up into a star. So instead of keeping the knees bent, we can still straighten the legs into a star pose here. So I like to wrap around and come into a child's pose to rest whenever you need to cool down or slow it down. This is a great rest pose, a floating child's. And then we can inhale and blossom for star. And just doing these two movements will undulate the spine back and forth and have tremendous benefit. So we're going to exhale and rest, and then inhale and blossom. Exhale, round in like you're turning into a little seedling. Inhale, blossom and sprout. Let your limbs and your fingertips and toes stretch, stretch, stretch. Maybe even shake it out and do a little superstar. Call this superstar. And then exhale, come back in and rest. So do that as many times as feels good. If you don't want to continue on with the practice, you can just come back to child's pose or come back to star until your body wants to go further. So same poses from before. From star, we come into namaste. So you got to make sure that you're still hugging the swing. Hands to prayer at the heart. Some people get confused and they get your arms behind, but we want to always hug towards center line. Squeeze the legs, press the hips up and lean back. Take a nice deep breath here. And then exhale, drop the hips and come on back to sit. So those three poses can just be married together, okay? So we can inhale star, exhale child's, inhale star, exhale namaste. Inhale lift, exhale lean back. Maybe that's as far as you want to go today in terms of your back bends and inversions. And then just come on back to sit and watch for the next one. I'll show you the sequence and then you can try it or do it at your own pace. So from namaste, I'm going to reach up and grab for the swing, let it slide down again. Sometimes you can give it a little wiggle to get it a little further down onto your hips. So from ladle, we'll bend the knees, swim the arms overhead, and then reach back for the ankles. Now, if you cannot reach your ankles, try not to force it. Just reach towards them and be happy. If you can, hold on to the ankles. Just make sure that your lower back is happy to come into a big bow pose. Release the ankles, grab for the swing, and come to sit. So for the chill flow, we do child, star, namaste, ladle. But from ladle, we can bend our knees and reach around and grab for the ankles and come into bow. Now for those that are very experienced and really enjoy back bends, you can do breath of fire when you're in bow pose. And I will tell you, that is probably the most advanced way to boost your energy and immune system. If you're ever feeling a little low energy, do some core, do some sit-ups, and come into bow and do breath of fire, and you will be amazed at the benefits that you get from that practice. It's one of my favorites. And we're not going to do it today. Maybe we'll do it on Monday, or we'll get into it when we get into the light body activations. But since we're going to stick to the basics, I just wanted to give you guys that have a little bit more experience with back bends and inversions. Breath of fire in any one of these poses will super boost your system and give you basically a shot of energy. So that's a nice, easy way to get the energy up when you need, or when you're turning on the endocrine system or trying to fire the energy centers. So let's go nice and slow through this. We're just going to inhale here, exhale child's, inhale star, exhale namaste. Inhale, lift the hips, and exhale, lean back. Inhale, reach up, hold on to the swing, and exhale, come into ladle. So ladle is with your legs straight, feet together, holding on to the swing, leaning back into a back bend. Maybe that's as far as you want to go. If you want to bend the knees, you can swim the arms around towards your ankles. and come into a bow pose without grabbing. Just let it feel good to have the space. We're not trying to create a contraction. And then if the ankles are available, grab for the ankles and pull the feet away from the heart. Pull the feet away. And you get even more room, even more space. A couple deep breaths here. And release. Reach up and grab for the swing. Bicep curl, lift and drop your hips. So we're doing that leverage of dropping the hips and lifting the head simultaneously. When the hips lift up, the head leans back. When the hips drop, the head will naturally come up. So we're leading with our hips in all of these poses, and our head and upper body comes along. Okay, really good. Just one more, and then we'll be moving on from there. Inhale, open. Exhale, roundin' and squeeze. Stay here if you've had enough. Inhale, blossom for star. Exhale, namaste. Hands to prayer, feet together. Inhale, lift. Exhale, lean back. Inhale, hold on to the swing. And exhale, slide into ladle. Inhale, bend the knees, and exhale, swim your arms around. If it's possible, hold on to the ankles and pull away. Otherwise, just enjoy having the arms reach back behind you. Nice deep breaths. Feel the stretch in your belly, in your heart. Release. Inhale, reach up, grab for the swing, and exhale, drop the hips down. Take a little rest. So this is very important. Not only is the pose important, but how we integrate the poses is just as important. To acclimate and assimilate, and that allows us to receive the benefit of the poses. So what I've noticed with the body is if you're going upright to upside down, and you do that multiple times, this is how you start to turn on the turbines and turn on the engines and get the energy flow in both directions. So anything that gets stuck, it's like turning an old purse upside down and shaking it, for those that have purses, and all that gook comes out of the bottom that you didn't even know was stuck in there. We're doing that with our energy body. And so you're getting this major flushing of the lymph and a massive amount of blood and oxygen flowing to places that just didn't get any before. That's why I said build up to doing 5 minutes a day of some sort of inversion practice. Even better with the swing when you can actually relax and open and stay longer. But even if you practice your inversions at home, it's so incredible for the body. So we want to keep that as a regular daily practice. And then within 30 days, I promise you, you'll be completely transformed. And I always encourage people to do this 30-day challenge. I have like a 30-day swing challenge that's just 5 or 10 minutes a day, going through a whole like buildup of sequences. And after 30 days of doing that, it is literally like so transformative. I'm not just saying that. This is the feedback that I've gotten over the last 10 years of creating these specific challenges and sequences of doing it every day, and how that makes a huge difference. Okay, let's reach for our knees and come on up and take a little break before we move into the next sequence. Slide up and down the legs, squeeze and wring out all of the tension and compression that happens, the stagnation in the legs. So everything I'm going to show you for this next sequence, going into our skydiver and our butterfly, you can do this with the high skydiver. So you can stay here if you're feeling like that's enough. I'm going to grab a little sip of water. Okay. Yeah, you can stay here in high skydiver if you feel like you've had enough of the leg loops at the knees. Whatever you need to do is totally fine. You get just as much benefit. It's just when your body feels a little bit more open or ready, you can come into butterfly and skydiver with it at the knees. So I'm going to show you from here, from standing. And this is a wonderful alternative. So one is not better than the other, they're just different. So once you lean back when you're in skydiver, just notice that there's a space between the swing and the leg loops. So go ahead and bring your hands to prayer like we've been doing around the swing. So if you get stuck in the leg loops, it'll be a little complicated. So it's between the swing and the leg loops. Go ahead and press your arms forward and then away. So then we're opening up. So as you can see, the leg loops are still on the upper thighs. I can bring my legs wide. I can sway a little from side to side. I have my thumbs up. And then I'm just gonna let my body rock. So this is high skydiver. So we can tell that the swing is now tractioning the skin along the biceps. And that feels really good. That's what we're going for. And then from there, we can start to bend the elbows and drop in. So there's a couple different positions that we can work on here. So if we're here, we can bring our hands to our hips, like a Superman position, and you can see that internally rotates the shoulders. But I'm gonna ask that you try this other position where you bring your thumbs towards your ears. So you're not gonna come down nearly as far, but you're pulling your wings back in a different way. So it's okay to do this, but it's not great on your shoulders. It's okay, but see if you can keep your external rotation of the arms and then stay up a little bit higher. We're still bringing the swing down towards the elbow crease a little bit, but my hands are up by my ears, more like a cactus. And then I'm going to bring my legs wide. I'm going to bend my knees. I'm going to do a little shimmy from side to side and bring the feet together. So in my butterfly position, I am opening up my chest and opening up my hips, and it's one of my absolute favorite poses. See if you can, instead of just dropping the head and letting the head be heavy, see if you can pull out through the crown of the head and look towards the front of the mat so that you have a little bit of a lift through the back of the neck. Stay here for as long as it feels good. I like to flutter, maybe shift my hips from side to side. Bring the feet down nice and wide. Find your ground, find your landing pad, and then press your hands down towards the earth and lean back. So now we can take a pause here. You can stay in high skydiver if that's comfortable, but we're going to try the same sequence from our chillaxing pose. Beautiful. So from here, make sure you're in a good position. Give it a little hop. You can take a pause and reset with a little swagger from side to side. Notice how different your body feels, like everything is being wrung out. You're getting all of this yummy space and movement in all of the joints. We're going to stay in our upright positions today, but like I said, for the second half, we're going to go into our forward folds and really explore utilizing the swing at the front of the hips and giving the upper body a break. Just so you know, for the second half of our practice today during the workshop, we're going to mix it up. So stick around for that. It'll be completely different. And there's over 300 poses and sequences for us to do. These are, like I said, the 12 basic poses that I present in the basic training is the building blocks for everything else, and we can get into any of the other poses from here. But if your upper body is like, I think I'm done for today, just give it a few more minutes, and then for the second half from 4 to 6, we will definitely mix it up. We're also going to have a delicious little break, a 15-minute break before 4 o'clock. So please do stick with it and pace yourself. Come on out of the swing and just watch for a sequence if you want, and then jump back in. You're really welcome to do this in a way that feels good for you and your body. Okay, so same position coming into our skydiver pose and then butterfly. I reach for my knees and I slide up my leg loops as high as I can. I hold on to the nub and I bicep curl and I lift. As you can see, now we're coming into more of a straddle position. So that is really strong on the body. So just do that a few times to warm up the legs, right? So come on down and squeeze, inhale, bicep curl and lift, warm up all the muscles and stretch out the connective tissue. Use your breath to pump the energy down to the lower body. Exhale, squeeze, inhale, lift. And this time we're gonna stay lifted. I'm gonna balance and get my hands in front of the leg loops. And then from here, I'm gonna keep my thumbs up. Remember, we're gonna come into cactus instead of the Superman position with my hands at my hips. So legs wide, feet back, coming into an opening through the inner groin. And then this is skydiver, right? We can bend a little from side to side and play like we were doing before. Go nice and easy and slow. You can always let the leg loops slide back up, right? If you need to slide them up a little, you can just wiggle them up. They sometimes do that on their own. And if they do, just keep them even. Keep one the same height as the other. And then we're gonna bend the elbows and bend the knee and come into butterfly. See if you can keep the arms nice and engaged. So even though we're opening up the chest here, it's really strong on the shoulders and amazing for a chest opener. We want to make sure the arms are still engaged so the shoulders are happy. And the same, like knees together, knees wide, feet together, and then I'm lifting my feet up. And as I lift my feet up, I'm getting a deeper experience, a deeper stretch. If your feet don't feel like they're coming together and they're down here, try lifting them up first and then bringing them together. It works like a charm. And then I flutter, which means I'm just going to bank a little from side to side. Get some variations in this stretch. This is really one of the biggest stretches that we do in the basic training. It's amazing. And then of course we can do this with everything spread out. So to come out of it, pull your feet back down towards the ground, sink your hips back, and catch yourself with the swing. Yes, we can do this with it spread out a little bit for those that were wondering, is there something in between the knees and the high skydiver? We can try it with the leg loops spread out and it makes life a lot easier. So it is gonna continue to bunch up, so you can spread it out as much as you can. And it's so nice and it's much easier. You don't have to go so deep into the splits, and then you can come into skydiver and then butterfly with it spread out. So try all the different variations, see which one you like. Most people like this one the most. This one feels the most comfortable and most easy to get into. And then of course you can try bringing your hands down towards your waist, and you can see your upper body falls towards the earth a lot more if you do that. So try to keep your arms up. It's much better to have them up here. You get a better stretch. You keep the external rotation of the arms. It's just different. And then come on out when you're ready. All right. So we're going to take a little break now. There's so many more poses that I teach in the basic training, going from, and I'll demo over the weekend, going from our chillaxin into the dancing Shiva, some more lunging, as well as some more splits into hummingbird, and then Hanuman, doing different kinds of splits, but we'll get to them this weekend. I don't want to overload you guys with too many poses. I just want to focus on the upright positions of sumo, and then we went into floating Buddha, and now this is chillaxin. So those are the three main sequences that I do with the basic training. The other sequence I do is called the forward folds. So we're going to come back and reset with the forward folds. So take 15 minutes. Take 15 minutes and just relax. I'm actually going to index the videos for the live stream. So you'll see a new live on YouTube, but I'm just going to pause the video here. And then when you come back, we're going to get started. Thank you so much. Get a little nibble, get some hydration, have a little bio break, and then come on back in 15 minutes.